I'm Adam Moz, and this is Moz Models.
Welcome back to the channel, folks. I got asked earlier this morning to do a video on how to do per side rates in ETHOS. So this is a fairly common item that's done on precision aerobatics and 3D aircraft to dial in rates exactly so that you get identical performance in both directions. Now, most aircraft have a combination of two things which makes them behave differently in both directions. So you've got P factor in particular, which tends to cause your left roll and your right roll performance to be different. And in terms of elevator in particular, there's generally a little bit of coupling between the main wing and the tail, which means that if you're running the identical rate, identical throw in each direction, there will be a small difference in behavior if you give the same level of up elevator as of down elevator. Now, for most pilots, this is not an issue. You give the correct control input, you watch, and you adjust your control input as the aircraft responds. But in precision aerobatics in particular, this is a major issue. You want the same control input giving the same response in both directions. Now, there's a couple of ways to deal with this. On Spectrum, all of your rates have a left and a right, or an up and a down, and you can give two different rates for each direction. You can also build a curve. In ETHOS, unless you're building everything out of free mixes, at which point you have trim impacts, you don't have rates. You've only got a single global rate. So what do? There are two answers. So I've got a newly created model. This is, like I've just literally called it Aerobat. I actually created this one because I'm probably going to go buy myself a new aerobatic aircraft in the not too distant future, as in maybe tomorrow. I don't have a traditional aerobatic aircraft, only pattern stuff at the moment. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to use one method on my elevator and one method on my ailerons. So let's start off with the ailerons. And this is the classic ETHOS approach. If you are in ETHOS, if you're in doubt, a curve is probably the answer. It's for so much in ETHOS. If you're not sure how to do it, a curve is the easy button. So we're going to put this on my SE. So we're going to go and create, first off, we're going to create a default curve. So curve 1, and we're going to edit this. This is the default, and we're going to call this AL. We're calling the aileron high rate. It's a custom. We're going to turn this down to 3 points. One of the nice things about doing this with a curve is you can actually dial out nonlinearities this way. Now, what we're doing here is very much a case of we're going to use a 3-point curve. We're not going to touch the middle point. That's your 0 point. Your left aileron rate is going to be negative, and the left 0.1, 0.2 we don't touch, 0.3 is going to be positive, and that's going to be the right aileron rate. So, in this case, this is high rates, and what we're going to say is we only want 97% on the left side, so we're going to go down to 97, but we want 100% on the right. So the right one is good out of the box, but we only want 97% on the left, so that there's just a little bit less aileron and roll on the left. So what you'll find here is we now have a high rate, and you'll see if we go left, we get 97%, but if we go right, we get 100%. There we go. You've got But you want more than one rate, right? So rather than mucking with the new weight, now if all your rates scale linearly, you can just go add more rates. And you got your 100% throw, it's adjusted. But then again, if you're going to do that, probably not going to be picky enough to notice 3%. So let's make a new one. This is going to be our mid rate, and I'm putting this on SE mid because I always put my rates on SE when I'm not putting launch modes on there. But so let's go make another curve. And again, it's custom. It's 3 points. Point 1. We're going to make this one. So our base rate for mids, I'm going to say 75%. But we want a couple percent less. So last time we took 3% less. So this time we're going to take 2% less. Let's say we want just a touch more at this rate when we give right aileron. So we're going to go up and we're going to set that to 77. So now we're getting 73% on the left side, 77% on the right. And there you go. And when you want to adjust these rates, you just go in and you adjust the outer 2 points in the curve. Your negative is your left, your positive is your right. Now, and then we can go do the same thing for low rates. Oh wait, I picked the wrong switch. Low rates, add curve. And again, comes a 3-point curve. And I'm going to say this will be, our baseline is going to be 60. And again, so we go down to minus 60 and 59 for the left because we want a little bit less. Oh, sorry, helps if I go in the right direction. And 61 because we still want a little bit more on the right. That's the way we've been setting it up. A little bit less rates left, a little bit more right. That's consistent. So there we go. We've got, at this point, you can see, even in low, we're getting 59 and 61, or 60.9 to be exact, because there's just a little, looks like, yeah. Looks like my stick calibration is slightly off on my aileron, and I'm losing about 0.1% on the right side. So that's one way to do it. Now, the other way we can do it is a fair bit more complex, but you can do some crazy stuff. So if we go back and let's look at the outputs just to check. When you pull back, that's up elevator is negative, push over is positive. Let's just remember that. So push overs are positive because that tells. So up elevator is negative, so it's below 0. So first thing we need to do is create a logic switch. And we're just going to call it up. And it's A is less than X, elevator. So, and you don't need to change the value because that comes out of the box right. So if we pull up, it goes green. Green means true. That's why we called it up elevator. So that's done. Next up, we got to go to our mixes. And we need 3 VAR mixes to do this. There's going to be one each for our rates, and then there's going to be an input selector. Or actually, no, sorry, we can do this with 2. I'll show you 2. So we'll make one VAR mixer, last position. We're going to call this one up, ELE, and I'm going to add a rate that is on mid and a rate that is on low. Okay, there we go. So let's say for elevator we want 70, and our base rates are going to be, and they're going to be in the up direction, because we'll say we've got some coupling that we want to dial out on the push over. We're getting just a little too much more, so we're going to dial back on push over. So what we're going to do here is we'll go down to 70%. Let's say we got big honk and tail on this thing, and we want really our low rates to seriously dial out a lot of that throw. And so we got a mid rate, and then we've got a very, very mild low rate for guys like me who don't fly these things all that well. And the last thing we actually need to do, sorry, I forgot to do that, is going to be pick an output channel. And I always start for these are high channels, so you want them above the RF channels, 25 and up. And I always start from channel 64 and work down. Okay, so next we're going to clone this. I'm going to delete that. It's called down. And we're going to go and pick 23. Nope. Yes. So now channel 23 is down rates. And we're going to say we want just a little bit less down. So let's make that 94. So at 70%, we want 67. And we'll leave the 40% because when you're flying around in 40% rates, you probably just want that to gentle up for setup. You don't need anything different. So now that we've got these two set up and they're outputting to a channel, if we go into the outputs, let's go all the way over. And you can see these channels have different values. Like there's our down rates and there's our up rates. So you got 100%, 94%, 70%, and 67%, and 40 on both sides. So how do you make these your elevator rates? Now let's go into the elevator mix. We created a logical switch that goes true when you pull up. So first off, let's add a second rate that is based on a logic switch, and there's only one member right now, so it auto-populates up elevator. So that's our up. And the reason I called this up elevator is because it does tell you what it is here. So now you know you've got which one's your up elevator. So let's long press that, and we're going to pick use a source. And we're going to pick that, and we're going to go to channels, and we're going to go click up channel 64, up elevator. Now the reason I always start from channel 64 is while you can't scroll up with touch, you can just scroll up quickly on the quick wheel. So now you can see when we pull up elevator, you can see our rates changing. But for down elevator, that has no effect. So now we need to go do the same thing for down. Use a source, pick that, channels, and we click up twice and pick down ELE rates. So now for down, and our 0 point is still on down because of how we set up that logic switch. You can see we're getting the rates. And 64 and 94, so let's go look at what we're getting out of there. So for down, we got 94, get 67, and we get 40. For up, we're getting 39.9, 40 if I whack it, 70, and 100. If you go here, like you see, that's 70, and push over, and it's 67 on the other end. And there you have it.